Yeah, transformation is often associated with the image of a snake shedding its skins, shedding the skin of the old and becoming new, or of a caterpillar going into the process of metamorphosis and coming out as a beautiful butterfly, or even the ugly duckling becoming the swan. And it's something that I found a real passion for myself, and through that passion it's become something that I also like to facilitate for others, and I'm able to because of the transformation that I've been through myself. So I would say that you know, I was drawn to become a healer because of an awareness of certain patterns in my own behavior, and because of some of the experiences I was having, symptoms of PTSD and panic attacks and phobias and different kinds of limiting patterns and low self-esteem when I was younger. And I had a kind of a mixture of curiosity, desperation and courage to find out what was going on, what was that all about. And you know, I had a choice, was either to kind of try to avoid those things, going into kind of trying to block it out, to escape it, kind of comforting myself in addictions, or becoming kind of, bitter and twisted, or to really allow myself to be vulnerable and to feel the pain. So that's really kind of like the first stage, I think, of the transformation is having awareness, around the patterns. And then the second stage is going into cleansing. So finding some kind of a facilitator, a safe space to let it all go, to process it, to feel it, to release it, to go through a process of cleansing, purging, like clearing out of the system, of the energy field, wherever we're holding on to any of that pain. So there's a kind of a breakdown to have a breakthrough process. And yes, it can be very vulnerable and very painful, and that's why it needs to have a really safe space and safe facilitators, who there's an absolute sacred trust of holding for that space, for that person. And that's also where it's really helpful if people have been through those experiences themselves, that then they become the qualified to hold space for somebody else, so long as Marguerite was saying, so long as the ethics are the structures in place. And there's various methods for doing this cleaning process. For myself, it's been very strongly working with shamanic healing and energy healing. And there were other things that really played into that and helped that process, such as dancing and sharing and sound healing and body work. Some Tibetan tantric processes, chud, that I work with. So and being heard and feeling like there were other people who kind of got what was going on. So and also during that process, I realized that that I'm a multi-dimensional being. So I'm also processing the pain and the trauma of the ancestors. And, when you think about how many ancestors we've got and all the different things that they've been through. So, wars and famines and slavery, all kinds of injustice and genocide and persecution and all kinds of really tragic stuff. So there's all of that we can be processing, as well as some of the gifts and strengths that can be passed down from the ancestors. And then, the way it is revealed to me is these other lifetimes as well, other lifetimes of pain and suffering that particular ones, show up again, either to show gifts or to reveal certain traumas or shocks or particular patterns that have been running through these other lifetimes. And yeah, there can also be, working through the shadows, the parts of us that are unconscious, that are unseen. So really integrating the shadows, because otherwise all of that is really draining our life force away. So part of the healing process is really to integrate the shadows, both the light and the dark shadows. And then what I found is that the next stage was really coming into empowerment. And it wouldn't be just all of the cleansing and then some empowerment. It would be some cleansing, some empowerment, some cleansing, some more empowerment. So gradually filling the space that's being emptied out, filling that up with light, restructuring the energy field. So working through the layers of the energy field and the chakra system in terms of energy healing. And then working with soul retrieval from a shamanic perspective and power retrieval. So bringing back the gifts and talents, our medicine, that is our birthright, and also bringing back the parts of our essence that became lost during a time of shock or trauma in our life. So for example, if somebody's experienced abuse, then they could have lost the part of them that is the essence of their sexuality, or the essence of their innocence, or the essence of their feeling comfortable in their body. So these are the parts that can come back to us, either through a process of regression for the person to actually go back and reclaim the parts themselves, or as the practitioner is like a kind of taxi driver that flies off through time and space, collects the part of the soul and brings it back to the person for them to then integrate in their life. So yes, so there's a lot of nourishment coming in and a lot of coming back to being present. You know, I know from my own experience of being through trauma and shocks in my life, I've become very disassociated. And then, and anybody who's gone through kinds of shock and trauma, that can have such a sabotaging effects on our, for myself, on education, on relationships, on career, on relationship with abundance, relationship with self-esteem, with the entire universe, really. So to be able to kind of reclaim our true self and come back into a place of sovereignty and empowerment is just such an amazing transformation. And this is where the inner alchemy happens. So the transformation of all of the trauma, the violence, the shocks, the rage, the shame, the guilt, the loss, whatever has happened to someone. And I can tick all of those boxes myself. And transforming that like the mud becoming, growing into the lotus flower. So then we can get to really blossom, to come from all of that pain, and something incredibly beautiful can emerge. And with that, a rejuvenation of vitality, of sensuality, sexuality, and creativity, so that we can really, really blossom. So, and that's what, my song Honey and the Sting is about, really. It's about the wounded healer. So being able to get the juice from all the suffering that we may have been through, and to transform it into something beautiful. The alchemy, the base metal into gold. And so really that's a state of grace. I think that there is a state of grace that is part of the transformation process. And, which feels like a divine blessing, coming to a place of acceptance, coming to a place of forgiveness, coming to a place of love and gratitude and freedom. And this is a place of really, inviting in the new consciousness. And that's also why I really love the Ho'oponopono, because it's so simple. But the Hawaiian prayer, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. It's bringing that, taking responsibility, bringing in the healing power of love, and finishing with gratitude. And then from that place, just like the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis, then we're in a place to really fly. So the way that I've been working for myself, was to become a healer. And then I came to a stage where I felt that I could really hold space for an even deeper level of my own healing. And I held space to really go into the very core wounds of my healing to a much deeper level than I ever imagined possible 5 years ago. And then from there, it's really been, you know, a rapid transformation, you know, coming into my 50s, which I think really, you know, tied in with the whole menopause process, Chiron's return, and then what's going on with the global shift. So I offer transformation for people in personal sessions, also with for people's homes, because as we're transforming, it's I find it also really powerful to cleanse the energy of the past from the home with space clearing and home blessing ceremonies, and also work with feng shui, so that bringing the whole of the home into alignment with the environment, with the people that live there, with the building, with the cosmos. So here's just a little, before we go into an open sharing, here's just a little, I'm just going to do a screen share just to, can I do a screen share, Joanne? It says host has disabled attendee screen share. I just wanted to share a little piece, a little document about my work. So at the moment, what I'm doing is, if people want a single healing session, I'm actually I'm opening an alumni section on my website. So I'm going to be passing on those people to my my graduates of my courses who are very well trained to hold space for single sessions. And the way that I'm working with people now is to do a kind of a package, transformational package. So you can either book to come and have a whole series of healing sessions with me. So I support you through several sessions to have a really deep transformational journey. Or you can book a package which involves a transformation for you and your home with feng shui and space clearing. And the other kind of transformation that I offer is for people to come and do my courses. So there's the shamanic practitioner and energy healer training, which Marguerite spoke about, which she's done. And then there's space clearing and geomancy, which is about doing healing for people's homes and also healing for the land, how to bring about harmonizing any trauma that can be held in the land from, you know, historically, from things that have happened there. So hopefully we can share my screen. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Joanne. So, yes. So as I said, these one-to-one deep dive packages that I'm offering now. So there's Align, Deep Cleanse and Blossom, bringing you, your home and your dreams into alignment in just 30 days. So I'm working with just one person a month on that particular journey. Or there's Metamorphosis, Alchemize Your Past, Fly Free with Power and Grace. So that's a series of 6 to 9 deep healing sessions and support in between. And then the certified professional trainings, shamanic practitioner, energy healer, space clearing and geomancy, and also angelic Reiki, which is a weekend course. So the first 2 trainings, they're available in person and online. And the online ones are going to be released in June. And then the in-person one, the healing one, it's still possible to join that training. That's going to be recommencing as soon as we can during the lockdown situation. And the space clearing geomancy is happening where Marguerite lives, just outside Glastonbury, at this incredible place called the Priory, this kind of old castle, which Marguerite could share some more about. Incredible history on the ley lines with this Masonic history there, an extremely powerful place on the land. So it'd be a fascinating place to go as a project for people to study and learn about space clearing, land healing, spirit release, and curse unraveling, and all that kind of stuff. So if you'd like to stay in touch, you can join my Facebook group, which is Total Transformation and Training Hub. You can also send me your email address or go to the contact page on my website, firehorse.uk.com, where you can jump on my mailing list to receive updates about my courses and offers, or you can book a free 30-minute clarity call with me if you're interested in my services and would like to have a chat. Okay, so I'll just close that now. Okay, would anybody else like to join? Hello, Kate. Hello, Kate. Thanks for joining us. Can you unmute Kate, perhaps?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Good. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi there. Thank you so much for joining. Is there anything that you'd like to share or ask?
There's probably loads of questions, but at the moment I'm just kind of absorbing the energy and listening and
Sure. You're very welcome.
clarifying things. I'm feeling things.
Yeah.
Sue, should we carry on live while we're here, or should we take the space into a closed space? If anyone would like to.
I'm happy to do either. If would people rather be in a closed space to share, or are you happy to be live online? Let's have a vote.
I don't mind, whatever the majority.
I think we've got Chantel joining us now.
I think
okay.
I do have a question, Sue. I think it's that the process of that, when you're in that stuck place and you are in that really ickiness, and sometimes it's that recognition, and sometimes when you realize that you're in a place of stuck, or sometimes when you realize and you're like, oh, okay, so I'm not, I'm in this place, how do I come out of it? And sometimes it's quite hard to even recognize, even in that first place. So it's how do we when you're like, okay, it's not me, it's a part of me, I could ask questions, or I need to explore a little further. And I don't know if there's anything that you could share about that. How do we learn that about that ourselves?
How do we get to have the awareness? The awareness is the kind of the first step, and also taking responsibility for it. Hi Chantel, thanks for joining. Well, I think that can be difficult if it's something that we've always had, because it's become so normal, and particularly if we've grown up in a kind of environment where if somebody's come from a violent background, and then so they've just taken that as being that's just how it is. But perhaps, I just hope that people, just in that kind of the magic of life, that something comes along that in some way inspires people, to let them know that they're not alone, and to let them know that there is a way to transform. And that's why I think, one of the most amazing things we can do is to transform ourselves, so that we can become a living model of that, a living inspiration of that to others, because that's what's going to inspire people. And also by being open to share about it. I'm actually writing a book about my experiences at the moment, so that's a way of actually saying, sharing with people. It's like, you don't have to feel alone. You don't have to feel that there's no hope, because at times in my life, I've been in a place of real despair, and so by knowing that there is a way to transform this kind of thing, and there are all kinds of healers out there, and that's also the beauty of it, because people come from all walks of life, and so each of those people is going to have a connection with the different kinds of people. Some people, not only geographically, but the kind of people, their kind of community, the kind of people they interact with. And so someone at some point is going to likely feel, I think, to be attracted to somebody who's had that transformation, and potentially, that person's open enough to share about it, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe I'll try that. That's what happened to me. I saw somebody drumming, and I was like, oh, what were you up to when you were drumming? And they said, oh, it's shamanism. And I was like, shamanism. And something in that word just kind of lit a light inside me, and I was like, I need to know more about this. It was like, it really drew me in. And even though, because I had such a damaged relationship with trust, it actually was very difficult for me at first to actually be able to learn the techniques as a healer. But then, you know, it really took a lot of healing, all of that trust, so that I could actually trust my own intuition, trust my spirit guides, trust that I actually was meant to be a healer. And because I've been through that process myself, I think that that's also, you know, quite a comfort for my students, because they tend to have moments when they doubt themselves, or they may have also had issues with self-esteem or trust. And so when I can say, look, you know, I used to feel like this, and I was like that, and I couldn't do that, and I burst out crying because I thought I couldn't do it, and things like that, and people go, really? Because of course they used to see me really confident and really capable now. So it's really, yeah, I just think it's nice to be open about these things, so that can help other people who are perhaps struggling to actually know that there is healing out there. And you know, and like we're saying, by seeing the transformation and by reading about the transformation, like in my book, or that people sing about, you know, the kind of things that I sing about in my songs as well, on my Heaven and Earth album. You know, that's inspiring to others. So I just kind of pray that due to the kind of synchronicities of life, people will somehow be touched by someone else. And that's also what's really cool about Bright Sky Community, because that's a community of people, and then people come along and they see the website, and then they see people's stories, and they get inspired by the other people, and they think, wow, you know. And that's one of the things that has struck me about you know, community, is that this kind of community is that sometimes we come from a certain scene or a certain family where people aren't really so much into personal growth, and then suddenly it's like, okay, in this particular environment, it's okay to talk about that kind of thing, and there's an incredible intimacy that comes from that safety and that honesty with which people share. And then, like, by witnessing each other's growth and transformation, that also gives other people the sense that it's safe for them to share, and that deepens through the course. You know, as we were spending time together, the deeper we began to share and trust, then suddenly somebody would have a big share one day, and about something they'd never shared before, and things like that. So it's something that grows over time, I think.
And the sharing circles that we have in person, and a lot of the work that you do, and a lot of work that some of us have been in, you know, sitting in a room with people that you've never met before, and reaching those depths of sharing, and what you find yourself sharing, and it's like, wow, yes, I can share this. And you know, it took me a long journey of, you know, going to sharing circles, and at first it's like, oh, am I okay to share this? And then each time I'm like, oh, you know, and learning to find my voice, and you know, and then actually being in a space where I feel held and I feel seen, and people, and I'm learning from other people sharing. It's really beautiful, you know, opening your voice. And I think that is coming online now. There is a lot more sharing circles online happening now, and it's hopefully giving space to people who wouldn't have access to that, and actually being, it's okay, you know, to come into these spaces.
Exactly. And I guess that's one of the amazing gifts of this you know, this global retreat, where so many people are at home and so many people are going online, and then they happen to be friends with someone on Facebook, and so this pops up, and they might exactly be introduced to a kind of a sharing that, okay, you know, I totally get it's not everybody's cup of tea, but for some people it's going to be just what they needed to receive and to join in with at that moment, you know. Yeah. Particularly when some people might be isolated, you know, and sometimes you can feel isolated even if you're living with other people, just because you can't share something, and then to find a place where you can, that's you know, it's a great resource for people.
Definitely. Is there anyone here that would like to ask any questions, anything that's coming up during this conversation, or any sharings about a journey that you've been on, or potentially in, or some thought, you know, something that you might be stuck with at this moment?
On Facebook?
At the moment, yes.
Are we still live?
At the moment, yeah. Do you want to wait till we go private?
No. I was just looking for it on Facebook. I couldn't find it.
It's probably on the Bright Sky page.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Did you want to share something, Pelly?
I'll share later, not yet.
Okay. Marguerite's ready to share. Marguerite?
Yeah, I've been like listening to your conversation, and like I've been like resonating so much with everyone's what you and Joe were saying. Like I'm sort of nodding my head so violently at one point. I just like just a few things that you guys have said that I just wanted to sort of like pick up on. That just about sort of Sue explaining about her journey to discovering this path into shamanism and healing, and witnessing someone beat the shamanic drum and like kind of having that kind of resonance that it sort of felt right to her, and like and that sort of like made me think about when I first met Sue, which was just at a healing event actually. I didn't know Sue, but she like kind of walked past, and I just kind of felt like I knew her from the beginning, and like just sort of like it kind of there was just some kind of resonance there that kind of drew me in, that sort of like kind of made me feel like asking Sue more about what she does and what, you know, and her work that, you know, I just felt drawn. So I would just very much say if anyone wants to embark on some sort of healing or transformational journey, that definitely it's good to feel that resonance about something, what you resonate with, like listen to your soul's essence informing you and telling you about what's going to be good for it. You know, it's very much in your body, and something that sort of vibrates within you of some kind of excitement or passion. I really recommend, if people are undergoing this journey, to go with those feelings, obviously with discernment as well. But yeah, just what you were saying, Sue, I think I wanted to share about what some like of my experience on Sue's course, because I think it is relevant for people, because like I often felt in Sue's course that I didn't belong there because I was probably too dark. It kind of like felt that I had too many issues and too much sort of stuck energy or anything, that I looked around and I kind of saw all these kind of light beings, and I projected on all my course mates that they were all so angelic and beautiful and everything, and like I constantly compared myself. And there were times during the course I was just like, I don't belong here with you guys, you know. And I even sort of pulled Sue aside on many occasions, but I mean in particular one conversation I felt frightened because of the healing techniques that you do with shamanism and with angelic Reiki. You know, it can be very relaxing and a beautiful experience to receive and to give, but of course you do have to expect that the shadow will rise and that things will come up within your psyche, you know, and your emotional body, and you know, even your experience of the spiritual realm, and you know, our spiritual and the relationship of spirits around us and within us. You know, I think for me there were times that I felt frightened by the rising of the darkness that kind of was coming up within me and around me in my sort of experience of life. And I remember speaking to Sue and saying, I'm scared that people are seeing something dark in me, you know, like I'm frightened that people are witnessing something dark in me that I'm not quite seeing. And I just wanted to sort of share that, like, Sue gave me such a reassurance in that moment. She was just like, you know, you have to understand that everybody has darkness in them, you know, everyone has darkness in them, and kind of, you know, it's about holding space for yourself, that you don't judge or like berate yourself or use it as an excuse to, you know, to stop loving yourself even more. That if you get these sort of dark feelings come up, that you can just be compassionate towards them. And just she was explaining to me that actually the more light work that we do as healers and the more healing we receive, actually it's the more light that floods into your energetic system, the more darkness and the more shadow will arise. So it's a process of duality. And what I found helpful, and at the beginning of the course there was actually such a lot of darkness coming up from my spirit and my soul and my energy body, that there was times it was frightening, but I learned to hold space for myself and hold space for that darkness. And I've noticed that like some sort of alchemical process, that the more I can just be compassionate and just sort of non-judgmentally be aware of any dark processes or stuck energies, like negative patterns, you know, that are coming up, then the more that that does transform into my own personal power and my own personal strength. So the reason I'm sharing this is because I think anyone on any healing journey can sometimes get things that make them feel not of the light, but you know, we're all of the light, and we, you know, we're all of the dark as well, and there's a space for both in this world, and it's the safe integration and the balance of them that creates this alchemical process of empowerment and makes you a better space holder and a better healer, actually, because you go through that transformation. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. So
thank you so much for sharing, Marguerite. Yeah, that's really, it's really important that one of the things that can often happen for people, for whatever reason, on in a group, is they can feel like they're the imposter. They can feel like they're the odd one out, whether that's because of their sexuality, their skin color, because they think that they're full of darkness, because they think everybody else is, you know, their class. They think everybody else is more kind of, you know, of a different kind of social group of some kind, or whatever it might be. So people can easily go, you know, it's very, very common that it will come up for people that they'll feel that they're the odd one out in some way, or like you're saying, that they'll feel, you know, yeah, some kind of sense of shame that everybody else is lovely and they're not, you know, and that's just part of that kind of self-esteem thing, and part of the, as I was saying, as multi-dimensional beings, we're integrating and processing so much. And with the shadow, there's partly, you know, the dark shadow, the stuff that bring up feelings of shame or guilt or fear. And then there's the light shadows, the part of us that of our true beauty and wildness and magnificence that we also have felt like we couldn't properly own. So there's a, you know, as you're saying, it's, you know, but the alchemizing of all of those things. And that's what's so beautiful when there's the trust in the group, and also as a healer, to have gone through that process myself, then I can hold space for you to go through it, and then you can hold space in turn for somebody who comes to you. It's like, how can I hold space for somebody who's gone through something like, you know, those kinds of dark feelings or experiences, or feelings of terror, or of deep loss or despair. You know, if I haven't gone through them myself, then it's you know, it's less easy to really hold a space for that. And particularly if you've really gone through it, then you are an embodiment and a transmission of that of that transformation authentically, which can truly hold space for somebody else. You know, in simple ways, it's like, you know, the people who make the best bereavement counselors are people who've been bereavement, or a drug counselor, somebody who's been through drug addiction, who's come out the other side. You know, so all of this becomes our training, and it's wonderful when whatever people's like deepest, you know, darkest secrets are, and when they're in a place where they can actually speak that out, and for it to be held in a sacred way, and it to be held in a way that it brings compassion, is incredibly sacred and liberating for people, you know. Yeah. And one other thing I wanted to say is like, yeah, I think that we have a soul's longing to transform and to be attracted or drawn to certain people and places, but then there can also be a resistance that can come up. So sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to discern, okay, part of me is saying, yes, I really want to go and have a healing, and part of me is saying, no, I want to stay at home and watch Netflix and go to the pub and and you know, just chill out or watch a film or something. So I think, and I go through that every time I go and go through a kind of a major healing or a major transformation. I go into that place of resistance, you know, because the ego doesn't want to change. But so there's a tuning in. It's like, what does my absolute heart and soul want? So that wants to say, does that want to say yes or no? And also being very discerning who you go and have a healing with, because I've actually come across this myself. You know, there are teachers and there are people out there saying that they're healers, and they are actually you know, they're not in their integrity, and there have been, you know, reports, and, you know, I've experienced this myself, of being with people who've got ulterior motives around sex, money and power generally. So it's always worthwhile really taking some time to listen to other people's experiences, to make sure you go to somebody that has a good reputation. And if you hear that they've got a dodgy reputation, really, really listen. Don't just kind of brush it away. Of course, there's going to be a certain amount of, you know, personality clashes that can go on. But if there are several people, you know, saying, no, this person's really out of their integrity, there have been several serious complaints about them, you know, I'd really encourage you to listen to that, because sometimes there's also a thing where people who have been abused can be kind of attracted to more abusers, and so they can sort of perpetuate that pattern. So just be really careful with that.
Yeah, thank you, Sue, for bringing that in. And I think at this moment, there is a lot of, it's understanding of trauma, and knowing, like, within what's happening now is a lot of loss in just our everyday way of life, and what that is bringing, and how I think that understanding of trauma, and actually, you know, the loss of work, the loss of the daily normal life, the loss of what we have seen as normal. And so it's, I think, what people might think of trauma and what they would think to go to heal for. You know, it's you know, it could be falling off a bicycle when you were younger, and maybe not being, you know, someone not coming and kissing your knee, you know, or it's so, there's different layers of trauma, and but within at this moment with the shift, the challenges that we're meeting.
Absolutely, it's a really good point, Joanne, about how somebody doesn't have to have necessarily gone through some kind of horrific abuse to be able to benefit from a healing session, to be able to benefit from transformation. And what everybody's going through at the moment can be, you know, quite shocking, quite traumatic for people on some level. And sometimes it's not about necessarily what happened to us, but maybe what didn't happen, so that we just didn't really receive the kind of loving, holding, and presence from our caretakers, because maybe they were too busy, or they were too unconscious, or they just, you know, they just didn't have it within them at that time. They weren't evolved enough to know that we needed that kind of presence and that kind of love. So that can also be something that people can really benefit from, healing and transformation. And then what we're going through at the moment is that, again, we might not, you know, people may have more or less awareness of the process that they're going through, that there could be a sense of, you know, that kind of just not knowing really what's going on, not knowing what the future holds. That's taken away a certain level of normalcy that people were used to, even though it's not really normal. But, you know, I think the more you wake up, the more insane the world appears. But it seemed like normal to a lot of people, and that's been taken away. And also a lot of connection, you know, for some people. And I'm very aware that, you know, where I'm living, I'm in quite a fortunate, you know, situation that I can be on my own healing retreats and do lots more of my own spiritual practices and going for walks. But I've still had my own kind of meltdowns at time about how was I going to survive financially? How was I going to recreate my whole business? Concern for loved ones, concern for, you know, the greater picture. About you know, what's going on with the kind of controls and limits on our freedom, or vaccinations, that kind of stuff. But and of course I've got lots of resources to be able to process the feelings that come up and bring myself back to a place of alignment and trust, and just really slowing down and enjoying that, reconnecting with nature. And that really brings a great sense of trust within myself. But I know that for some people, they can be in very challenging situations. And so, yeah, I hope that groups like this can help open up a space for people to come and join, and see that whatever they're going through, that there are tools that can help them. And also there are tools that, you know, are different for different people. And during my training course, for example, we can go into some very deep, painful places, and then the next minute we'll say, right, let's lighten up, let's have a dance, and we'll all have a really good dance, and have a good laugh, you know, come back to being to dancing, to being in a really celebrating, lots of laughter, lots of fun, lots of joy. So it's not all kind of heavy and difficult. Isn't that the case, Marguerite? We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, DJ Sue, DJ Firehorse.
Yeah. So so I think that, you know, for me, that's also really part of the you know, the important part of the transformation, is so that we can actually bring ourselves back into a state of joy.
Yeah, when you sort of mentioned the idea of releasing and purging, and so that idea of letting go and releasing that trauma, and that, could you describe how that could feel for people? Or like, I mean, I don't know if that's very different for everyone. Is that something that is very unique to one person?
Well, I guess it depends what method you're using, but, you know, it can be crying. It can be using breath, like deep breaths. You know, if I'm connecting, if I'm feeling, you know, if I've suddenly gone into a place of fear or anxiety over the current situation, then I will tune into where I feel it in my body, and then I will use deep breathing to really connect with it, to breathe it out, and I will make sounds, and I'll really shake and move my body, you know, like the way that animals do when animals have, you know, experience something that when animals are frightened, they shake, you know, or they'll shake it off. And then they'll just crack on and come back to normal for them. So I make lots of sound. I might put on some music and have a really big dance. Yeah, I think, you know, that really helps me. I mean, I really, body work really helps me. You know, so massaging my body, feeling where I feel it in my body, and really giving that some strong kind of massage and deep breaths, and making sounds, shaking, moving. And I know for some people, and then sometimes it's like I need to sing, and I'll sing a song, and that really helped me. You know, have a dance. For somebody, it might be getting on their bicycle and going off and having a bicycle, or swimming, or laughing. You know, laughter's the best medicine, they say. So it could be that, you know, needing to watch something funny, needing to phone a friend, sometimes being able to phone a trusted friend and just getting it off my chest, being able to talk it through. You know, and then, you know, there's other kind of processes that I also use, but are sort of, you know, too much to go into right now, probably.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to know there are so many different ways that we can release, and I think sometimes you can find yourself in a place of, like, you know, you just don't want to leave your sofa and not move, and that's a time when, you know, if you do move, that shift that can lift you up so much.
Yeah, and I think it's just, you know, for me, tuning in, what do I really need right now? And not going along with the you know, the voice that might say, yeah, go and eat chocolate or something, because I know that that's actually not good for me. So, but it could be that I need to just kind of curl up with a blanket on the sofa and just kind of just lay there for a little bit and rest, you know, just have a rest. Or it could be that I want to go and sit by the stream, or sit by a tree, or have a bath with loads of Epsom salts in, and bring my crystals on and put on a nice meditation that helps me just to feel nice and soothed. You know, it's just tuning into what really helps us to feel good in ourselves, and that's going to be different for different people and at different times. Hey Holland, hey Naveen, nice of you to join us. Hello.
Nice, lovely to see you and hear your voice. Thank you.
Thank you, lovely to see you. Is there anything you'd like to share about transformation?
Well, I've had a transformative day. Been doing daddy schooling today, and my school day consisted of a school trip to take the boys swimming in the River Wye. So that was pretty beautiful, and swimming in the river. So yeah, it was really lovely. It felt really, really sort of grounding just to be in the river and with my two lovely boys. So truly blessed today. And the willow was seeding and blowing across. It was almost like snow. There was so much seas coming from the willow across the sky. And,
wow, beautiful.
Yeah, a beautiful day today. But yeah.
Great. And we were sharing earlier about the course, and about how, you know, people can come along and they can receive transformation as well as learn how to be a facilitator for others.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to share about that? How it's for you?
Wow, it's so profoundly deep. Yeah, it's hard to sort of even kind of put it into words and summarize that sort of experience, really. And in some ways, I'm kind of still processing it. I'm kind of going through these sort of cycles of highs and lows, but the lows are getting higher and the highs are getting higher. And lockdown has been a bit of a low, so I'm just sort of coming out of it again, hit a bit of a low, and just sort of coming back into my alignment a little bit now.
And this is why also, thank you for sharing. Also, I think that what I've noticed is that sometimes when we need it the most, we kind of forget our resources, and that's the thing. Sometimes is to remember what do I need right now. You know, even to have it written down somewhere. If I go into go into that kind of a low point, what are the things that really help me? And then you can look at it, you know, like it's like those phone a friend or like go have a bath, go have a walk, have a rave up in your living room. You know, what's going to actually really nurture me right now and help me to move through this, because it's a matter of kind of moving through the energy that's going on.
Yeah,
that's what I find.
Indeed. But yeah, back on the ascendance again, after hitting some lows and drinking a lot of alcohol in lockdown, and it's been pretty tough. But yeah, sober again for a week now, and not going back to it in a hurry. So I've made the decision to get sober again now and get back on it.
Okay, well done. Yeah. I had moments where I, my kind of thing that I can slip into is comfort eating. And I had a moment where I remembered that I got some biscuits in the cupboard that I got for the removal men when I moved house, and they didn't eat them. And when I went into fear one night at the beginning of the lockdown, I actually went and raided the cupboard and ate all the biscuits. And then afterwards thought, well, that didn't help. And then I just felt rubbish afterwards, but I just had to kind of forgive myself, let it go, and then and as you say, get back on track, you know. So we're all human, and you know, for some people drinking is something that they do once in a while, and it's fine, or even a medicine for them. You know, for me it doesn't agree with me at all. I've realized. So in some ways it's probably quite good that it makes me feel so rough, otherwise I might have a drink more often. And in my work with energy work and with the kind of meditation and work that I do, it's really good for me to keep my consciousness really clear, and then I'm much more kind of sensitive to energies, and I'm just really happy with where I am. You know, I used to like drinking a lot when I was younger, and there was a kind of a fun side to it, but there was also definitely a messy side to it. So I'm really glad, I'm really glad to have left that behind now.
I think I had kind of my goals set on Glastonbury Festival. I was going to be sober, you know, for all the way till Glastonbury, and I was going to allow myself to have a couple of drinks at Glastonbury, and that was my target. And then that just evaporated, and so we're locked in the house, you know, and my wife's drinking some wine, and it started just like that, you know, a couple of nice glasses of wine in the garden, and before I know it, I'm going to the shop to buy a 4-pack, and it's so easy to just slip back into that.
It's so easily done, isn't it? And thank you for sharing. Thank you for your honesty. You know, it's so easily done. You know, yeah. You know, and we're all human, and what's right for one person is okay for another. But it's having that awareness and think, okay, is this really what I want to be doing? And like, what are the consequences? Because for me, I can't just have you know, one bar of chocolate or something, because that will kickstart my craving, and it will tend to make my eating go out of control. So I have to just be very sensible with it, you know, and really have very, very strong boundaries. And I think, you know, that's just something that you know, that I've learned about myself. So yeah, we're all different. We've all got different things that we can get sabotaged with if we're on this path of like, no, I want to be you know, I want to be clear-headed, I want to meditate, I want to keep my energy really clean, then it's yeah, that, to me, that's more important, and so it wins over shall I have a biscuit or shall I drink. And if I was to drink a couple of glasses of wine, I'd feel so horrendous the next day that it's thankfully that keeps me sober.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing is, once I made the decision, I'm pretty strong at it. You know, I don't even really get cravings at all. It's just making that decision and sticking to it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Having that those strong boundaries. That's why I like this particular way of eating that's called bright line eating. So the bright lines are the strong boundaries. And by having that boundary in place, it's like, no, that's not actually serving me. That's not going to be in my life, where it's sugar or flour products in my case. And I want to say hello to you, Naveen. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything that you'd like to share in the conversation at this time?
No, nothing at the moment. I'm just listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. And Diana, do feel free if you wanted to say something.
I'd love to share. I don't know whether I want to be sharing on Facebook Live, so I might wait.
I think we can go into the private room for some sharing now, if people would like to do that. Primal screaming, Marguerite shared exactly. That's another really good, if you're in a situation where you can primally scream. But even if you can't let the full volume out because you don't want to, you know, kind of upset the neighbours or someone to kind of call the cops or something, you can scream into a cushion.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you were talking about things that we can do to overcome different patterns and things that suck us back into unhealthy ways of being, I just wanted to share quickly that one of the most powerful things that I found, which has become a way of being like a lot since Sue's course, is that we should remember the power of prayer. So even if you can't force yourself to meditate, or you can't run around the block or dance, or you don't want to speak to someone, and if you do want to transform, then I really advocate and encourage people to pray for that, your transformation, because I think there's times, I am a much more healed being than I have been previously in my life, but there are still times that I get overwhelmed with depression and pain and things, and I know I should be doing yoga or dancing or meditating, but I do think if anything can carry you through, then you can still pray. You can lie in bed feeling down and pray and just light a candle. And actually I think it's been on my journey the power of prayer that I've learned through the shamanic path that has been the most transformational, because your prayers will come true if they come from the heart, and if you direct them in a way that's sending that message out to the cosmos. So just wanted to share that from an aspect I learned from Sue, really, and also that a way that we can help move towards transformation in our lives. So yeah,
thank you, Marguerite. Yeah, and that's we used to share lots of beautiful prayer circles around the fire, and that's something that anybody can do. And it doesn't, you can pray to whoever you want to pray to, whatever is meaningful to you. So whether that's to the Creator, whether that's to God, whether that's to your ancestors, whether that's to your spirit guides, your Mother Earth, whatever kind of feels meaningful to you, you can, we can have, whether that's spiritual or religious or whatever is the truth for you, or most meaningful in that moment. Or even if you just don't know, and you're just, I don't know, but I'm just praying to existence. Please, can I find, help with this? But actually a really good way to pray is, rather than please can I have, is thank you for. So to give thanks for, thank you for me finding the transformation, the healing, the facilitators, the training, the opportunities, the support that I need to help me to transform in my life. Thank you for me finding the best group of friends. Thank you for me finding the community where I feel really seen and loved and can really belong to. So whatever it is that you're yearning for, that you say that prayer and you say it with gratitude, and then allow yourself to really envision that and how you're going to feel when that is fulfilled. So allow that to become part of your an embodied prayer. And you can also, different ways to express that. You might want to use artwork, or using painting, or bring that into your workout, bring that into when you're going for a walk, so you're walking as you're praying, you're working out and you're praying, you're doing your yoga or your qigong and you're praying. So you're doing your cooking and you're praying. I used to pray on the toilet sometimes and think, I hope this isn't sacrilegious, but it was a moment when I'd be on my own and I'd be thinking, that's when I'd say my prayers. So, I think that, whatever is really, really, truly in your heart, it's the universe will hear that, will hear your sincerity, will hear your prayer. So yeah, thank you to Marguerite for bringing that into this Zoom meeting.